Ria, welcome to Nexus Talks. Thank you so much
Thank you.
time to speak with us. I don't know where to start. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell me who you are, what you do, and anything else I need to know.
Okay, sure. So, my name is Ria Boss, also known as the Cat Mama. I am a singer, songwriter, performer. I am also the creative team lead of an organization called Black Girls Glow. I am a radio host of Cat Mama World on Oroko Radio. I am also the founder of Kitty Palace, which is a co-creation and co-working studio that also does event production. We do in-house workshops for musicians. We also have recording capabilities for radio hosts, etc., podcasts. Aside from that, I'm your friendly neighborhood cat mama in that I've got my cats. They'll probably try and interrupt this interview at some point.
Good.
But I'm a cat that wears many hats. I'm sure we'll delve into all my different sort of hats as we discuss.
How many cats do you have?
Okay. Every time people ask me this, I'm like, how do I explain this? So on the compound where I live, so Kitty Palace also happens to be my home as well. On the
Oh,
compound, I would say we've got about 6 to 8 cats. Now I say 6 to 8 because I've got 2 in my house, 2 in my partner Pam's house, which are 4 of our cats, and then we've got the neighborhood cats that like to come to our building because they know there's food here, and so I think we've got about 6 to 8. Yeah.
I love that. Are they all named as well?
Oh yeah, there's Cash, who's looking at me right now. Cash, Seven, Stormy, Luna, Eugene, and Lucius.
You're a great cat mum for remembering all of them. I have 2 cats and I mix them up all like just out of memory, just comes out. So I'm very
Yeah.
impressed.
Well, thank you.
The whole cat mama situation, I really just want to learn a bit more about what came first because was did the music come first? Tell me a bit more about your journey.
My mom always tells me that when I was born, I didn't talk first, I sang first. She's like, you used to sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star all the time. So I think that the music came first. I did piano lessons. But my mom was one of those moms that wanted to put me in just about everything. So I was doing piano, I was singing in the choir, I was doing ballet, tap dancing, and modern dancing. And I was also extremely interested in drama. I'm still very dramatic, honey, but very into drama. And so I think the question of which came first is sometimes tricky because although I know that music has always been the first thing, I've always had a flair for the theatrical. I've always had this writer in me. I've always been somebody that wants to build sets and create worlds. And so I think that while the music came first, that was sort of like the portal to discovering all my other abilities.
I love that. And where are you based? Are you still in Ghana?
Yeah, so I'm based in Accra right now. I've been in Accra. I moved back home from the States in 2017.
Okay. What made you
Yeah.
move? So did you started your career then in the States?
Yeah, so okay, let's I guess I can do a little bit of like a journey for you.
Thanks, lesson.
So I was actually born in London. Moved from London to Gabon. I lived in Gabon with my mother till I was about 5. And then I moved to Ghana. Now, Ghana is where I spent like the majority of my formative years. I went to high school here and then I left for the States. I left to New York City in 2000 and, oh my goodness, when was it? 2007, 2008.
Oh,
And I stayed there up until 2017 when I moved back to Ghana. But while I was living in New York, I was there for the majority of my time in the States. And then I moved to Los Angeles. And so when I was moving back home, it was from LA to Ghana.
wow.
And what brought me back, man, what brought me back? Oh my goodness. First of all, Donald Trump was getting elected. That was not fun. And then I don't know, man. I feel like there was something in my spirit that was like, you gotta go home. Like I hadn't visited home in a while. I used to visit a lot when I'd first moved to the States, and then I stopped coming. I think I hadn't been home in about 3 to 4 years. And I was raised by my grandmother and my mother, very, very close to them both. And so I think I was due some grandma love. That was probably what it was. Something just said, come home, come home. And so I just kind of like impulsively packed up my Los Angeles apartment and moved home like on a whim. I don't think I had much of a plan when I first moved back to Ghana, but I don't know. I think I'm the happiest self because I did that. So yay.
I'm happy to hear that, honestly. And it's so interesting that something drew you back home and that you've classed Ghana home. Because you said you've been
Yeah.
in London, you said you've been to
Hmm.
America, but that's so cool that you still think Ghana is home.
Exactly. Yeah. It's my motherland. So my mother is from Ghana. My father, God rest his soul, he's from Burkina Faso. But I was raised by my mom and my grandmother. So Ghana is home to me. And so I was think I'm really happy because a lot of my family members, they left Ghana and they haven't been back. Like they haven't moved back. I have
Yeah.
family that lives in London, in the States, in Slovenia, in Germany. My mother herself lives in Paris, and so I'm pretty much the only family here in Ghana, and my uncle. We're the two members of our family that live in Ghana. And so I think it was important for me to be home because so many members of my family, they've tried it and they're like, man, we don't, it's too hard to make it here. But I feel like we have to try to be the change instead of running away. So I'm home.
That's such a nice perspective because the reason I asked all of that is how was it being a creative exposed to
Hmm.
different industries? Because I'm assuming, but I guess the market's completely different in Ghana to what it is in America.
Yeah,
That must have been quite a
true,
hard
true.
adjustment. Tell me about that.
It was a hard adjustment, and I think I was a little bit stubborn. Like Erica Badu has always said, like she's a creative and she's very sensitive about her ish. Like, same here. Like I used to be someone that you can't move me from the thing I want to do. Like I can't look at it any other way. And moving back home, I think I was a bit naive because I'd been doing music in the States and I'd, been going on a couple of tours, etc. And I felt confident in my abilities as this neo soul singer, and I'd already dealt with bands. I just felt confident. But coming home, it's a different industry altogether. And also, I sing the genre of music that I do, which is more neo soul R&B, isn't necessarily the more mainstream here in this region. This isn't to say that there are not people that are doing that genre, but we happen to fall under what I guess we would call alternative in this particular region. And so it was difficult. It was difficult because I thought I would be welcome. Not that I wasn't, but I thought that it would be a different type of reception. I had to work even harder coming back home. And luckily for me, blessed with some of my peers in the music industry here, it wasn't so difficult of a jump, but I still had to do so much work. Like I had to prove myself. Like coming back from the States where I had started sort of like rising in a particular way. I came back home and felt like I was starting from zero.
Yeah.
Um, and it was scary, it was scary, but also it showed me that I had to do the work. There was so much more, there's so many more obstacles here in Ghana. Creatives don't have a lot of funding. Creatives also don't have a lot of opportunities. Then I guess I would say there's a lot more now because Ghana is kind of like on the rise. But it was difficult in the beginning. And so I think the emphasis on building impactful and intentional community through the arts was something that I thought was important because then when you're building, you're also building the structures around which people can also exist. And so Black Girls Glow, for example, which was founded in 2017 by my comrade, Poetra Santua, I came in first as one of the women coming into the residency. And now I happen to be their creative team lead and I work alongside them and we mentor young women and girls in the arts here. We didn't have that when I first moved. And when I moved, I think that scared me. But now we've created the space that if someone decides on a whim to leave their Los Angeles apartment with their cute yellow wall, they'll at least come and know that there are systems in place and communities to support them. Because Black Girls Glow is one example of that here in Ghana, but we also have Vibrate Space, which also does, master classes for musicians. We have the Stub Studios, which does recording for artists. And so there's a lot of different avenues now to feel support. But I think myself and a lot of my peers had to build these things for them
Yeah.
to exist.
And
Yeah.
that's quite difficult in itself because you're also a performer, songwriter, musician yourself, and then
So many
find
things.
yeah, and finding time to actually create spaces and opportunities for others is honestly such a beautiful thing because creatives really struggle like within their own
Yeah.
heads. I mean, I don't know if that's something
Yeah.
you struggle you talk yourself out of doing things, or you tell yourself you're not good enough. Sometimes you're like, no, actually, I've got this. You said that you're stubborn and you're
Right.
confident. Creating a space for other people and to help them is actually brilliant. So I guess I kind of understand the way your careers move then.
Yeah. Yeah, I think,
Being
but
real.
I will say that I think starting out, I was very much on my individual, like I'm doing this by myself. Like, but I've come to understand and value what community does for us. You know, we can't do everything alone. And I've realized that with Kitty Palace, with Black Girls Glow, with Jane Can Do, which was founded by Pam Tichua,
I
all
so
these amazing
incredible.
initiatives. That's my best friend. Oh my God. Shout out to
That's so
Pam.
sorry,
Because of
continue.
all these amazing platforms, I realized more and more how community is everything for me. Community is love. Community. There's a quote from Vibrate Space. They have it like plastered on their gate when you're walking in. It says community is everything because they even built their space from the ground up. And Kitty Palace is the same way. It's just a bunch of friends that got together and were like, listen, we want to be able to help ourselves, but also by helping ourselves, we can help others. We do creative direction for artists. We help them with their stage designs. We do workshops. We have artists come here and use our spaces to paint or to have events or workshops on pleasure or workshops on sexual abuse or sexual assault. We do all these things here because we believe that we need it and the community needs it and they need to feel cared for. Yeah.
So was that the turning point in your career that you thought, you know what, actually, I know what my purpose is. I know what I'm doing. Moving back home, was that the turning point? Or did you have a
It took
different
me,
turn?
I even though I moved back in 2017, I have to say, like, I found my rhythm in like pandemic and after. I kind of like, I kind of made a couple of mistakes along the way, like trying to figure out how do I even fit in this place that I've just uprooted myself from. And one of the things I think that kind of like colored the experience was I lost my grandmother actually when I moved back I lost her 2021. And I think up until that point, yes, I'd been building and I'd been starting to understand that I wanted to do community focused initiatives. But when she died, I kind of like got lost for a moment. But it was in her death that I realized that community was important to me. I'm an only child and being raised by two women, my grandmother and my mother. I didn't have a lot of siblings. I didn't have a lot, they were my friends, and I realized that when she passed, I started thinking a lot about how my family is very small and how I want to make sure that I'm building these same type of structures in my community so I never feel alone or I never feel like I don't have support. And so then it became kind of like passion, like a heart thing where everything I do, I have to make sure that there's compassion at the center, that I'm caring for others, and that those that are less fortunate than I also have a platform. The ethos for Kitty Palace is that we don't want artists to feel like there's a paywall to their dreams. We want you to feel like if you can dream it, you can achieve it, even if you have 5 CDs. You know what I mean? And the problem with living in Ghana and in a very volatile economy is that a lot of the times people can't do anything because they don't have money. And when you don't have money but you have dreams, it can be so painful, to see other people's, let's say, being able to achieve things that if you just had the means, you would be able to. And so I think for me, I decided, well, Kitty Palace, we're going to build this and we're going to be able to help creatives who even have the smallest of budgets. And we'll work with mutual aid and we'll barter if we have to. And we'll find ways to make sure that all of our dreams, we can make them happen. Even from our little corner in Accra, we can make it happen.
That's so beautiful, Ria. Honestly, like I'm so happy that we are interviewing you on this podcast because it's incredible to hear someone who's so talented herself and is not just focused on, and there's nothing wrong with being focused only on your
Yeah.
dream. Just saying it's
Hmm.
beautiful that you're creating those spaces because it's true. Not everyone has the luxury of prioritizing
Yeah.
their dreams. So that's honestly so brilliant.
Yeah.
What's
And I think I guess I will say though, like there was a time that I was super focused on self, and there was also a time that I felt like, okay, I have to make it first before I'm
Mm.
able to help other people. Like I think a lot of people assume that, okay, let me get myself established, let me get myself to this point, and then once I get there, I can open the door for other people. But I've started realizing that sometimes in your quest to establish yourself, you don't know how long that's going to take you, and you don't know whether along the way things may happen that might change that perspective. And I've realized that I've always had that, okay, I'm going to get to this destination. Then when I get there, I'll figure it out. But I realized you can actually do everything as you go. You don't have to wait until you're this, like, I used to think, okay, I'm going to wait till I'm like the Beyonce level artist. Okay. And then I'm going to help other people. And it's like, wait a minute. But what if that doesn't happen until I'm like 50? Or what if it doesn't happen? What if it happens in another way? What if I succeed in another perspective? Then what happens to that mindset? I realize that I want to be able to help now, that I don't have to wait for this moment to happen before I'm able to impart this knowledge that I'm gaining along the way. That I want to be able to be that person that I guess like my younger self would have wanted to be able to help me along the way. And so I think while I think it's thinking for yourself, for about yourself, that's absolutely fine and valid. But for me, I realized that I don't want to have to wait to be someone, quote unquote, until I'm able to help. I want to be able to do everything at once and achieve that. And I think that it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of grit. But once you're able to realize that you are able to, I think that's like the first step to like amazingness.
What skills and experiences from your early career do you think have been most valuable to you now?
Hmm. This is a really good
Because
question. What
you're
skills in my early
doing a
career?
lot right
Honestly,
now. You're doing a lot. And you just said there's a lot of discipline, but what skills do you think are the most valuable that other creators listening should focus on?
one of the things that I think is something that I've learned along the way is to be able to segment your time according to the hats that you wear. And so say I'm a singer, songwriter, and performer, but I also have this creative house that I manage, but I'm also doing recording a radio show here, but also have to do stuff for Black Girls Glow. How do you divide your time? With me, it's also making sure that I've segmented it. So let's say a typical week in Ria Boss world. Um, I have my time according to, okay, is this Ria Boss? Now, Ria Boss is singing, songwriting, performing. So things like studio time or writing sessions, all of those things fall under Ria Boss time. So if I have a commission for, let's say somebody wants me to write a song for their podcast, all of that will fall under Ria Boss time. But after Ria Boss time, I have Kitty Palace time. Now, what falls under Kitty Palace? All right, I segment that as well. I try to separate all of my hats into different tranches, and then I put them all in different parts of the week, just so that I'm able to think and know that I'm able to have time for each of myself, because there's a lot happening. And if there's a lot happening, sometimes a lot can get lost. So one thing, I've got whiteboards everywhere. In my bedroom, I write everything down. I have post-it notes that I keep in certain places, and I'm constant. I've got about 100 of these notebooks like lying around in different places, you know. Um, but the discipline, I think, has also come from the fact that I love what I'm doing. You know, I enjoy each of these different parts of my life, such that it has ceased to feel, okay, no, I'm lying. Sometimes it does feel like work.
I was just going to
But
ask you, I was going to say,
you
do
know,
you always love what you're doing? Is that like 100% true? You love the
I would
mission.
say it's, I love the mission. I love the mission. But sometimes, man, it could be difficult. Sometimes I don't love what I'm doing. But I think when I don't love what I'm doing, I'm speaking more towards the challenges that I might face. And you know, usually when we say challenges, it's usually funding based, or you're usually dealing with people's egos, or as a woman, you know, you're dealing with a lot of male ego. I mean, sitting in rooms with men and having them mansplain still, it's annoying. So those are the things that frustrate me. But But I think the mission is big. And sometimes I have to think of the mission in order to like close my eyes and get through something, because I realize that without it, oh man, without it, what would I be doing?
I get it. I get it. It's like it's not a
Yeah.
love hate relationship. I don't think that's the right way to label it, but it's so obvious that you're so passionate about what you're doing. And I love this idea of blocking out different versions or different hats, because
Yeah.
that makes total sense.
Yeah.
That's probably a better way
Mm-hmm.
than trying to be everything at once.
Yeah. And so it helps because I also have like, I used to be like, I have anxiety. And if I don't plan or pre plan, everything becomes crazy. For example, today, I knew that we had to get on this call. So I was like, okay, segmenting my time. I know I want to go to the gym. So I got to make sure I do my gym time. I have to go get food for the cats. I got to do that. And then I have to come set up. And for me, setting up for like an interview like this, maybe like 30 minutes beforehand, because I want to make sure my internet's okay. I want to make sure the sound's working. I want to make sure, like, yeah. And I have to plan that out, because if I don't, it will I have so many things that I do that it'll fall into and throw everything off balance. And so I realized that it also helps me stay focused and balanced and aligned when I plan in this way, or when I have all these like in front of me. I've got like a couple of post-it notes that are reminding me that I'm supposed to clean my fridge.
Forget that. Okay.
I won't forget. I won't forget.
I love that. And so let's talk about your brand, Cat Mama,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're very, I love that. How did you come to this brand? Because that's one thing a lot of creatives struggle with is you get told a lot, what's your brand? What's your brand? What's USP? So
Mm-hmm.
tell me how your brand came about, and why Cat Mama?
I think I stumbled into this because I love cats. Like let me tell you, if my cat, she's sitting down, but if she decided to like walk across, you'd probably lose my attention for a good 5 minutes. Love cats. But I think the reason for cats is I've also been very sort of like taken by the daughters of Ra, Bastet and Sekhmet, who are like feline goddesses. And that's something I was always interested in Egyptian mythology growing up. But again, even though growing up I was drawn to that, I didn't even think that this would be who I was now. When I was living in New York, I'd went through kind of an abusive situation. And I remember my friend was like, you should get a cat. I really wanted a pet. And mind you, growing up, I'd actually had dogs. And I was like, my friend was like, why don't you get a cat? And I was like, it's interesting. I've always liked cats, but I've never thought of owning one. So I got my first cat, Nala. She was a rescue. And I have this, I like to think this like energetic and spiritual connection to cats. I can't describe it, but all of my friends, suddenly they're like, they always got very frustrated with me because I'm always showing them a cat on my phone, or I'm like, look at this cat video, or a cat this, or I'm going to go to this cat exhibit, or cats. So my friend Nina, she was like, yo, you like a cat mama. And she said this was when I was living in New York. And she would always call me cat mama, till finally it stuck. It stuck because naturally they'll be like, oh, Ria, yeah, that's the girl that's always talking about cats. That's the cat mama. So it kind of just became a nickname because obviously I'm cat lady crazy.
Yeah.
And then I realized I just adopted it because I also get like really long nails, like claws. And so I started doing, I called it Cat Mama's Claws. And so I started doing like a nail tech, and I had this partnership where I'd go and do my nails, and we'd like do this whole film thing and do Cat Mama Claws. And then I started realizing that I think I'm actually very much like a cat. And so I stumbled into this. And then I realized that, I also have multiple personalities. There's Cat Mama, there's Hajia Kitty, there's Maria, there's Ria Boss. And so I realized that Cat Mama world is the world where all these personalities exist. It's the world where they all have room to take the stage. And so even though the Cat Mama name was given to me, I realized how important it was for me to develop the world and also allow all of my artistic personalities to shine. And so Cat Mama World is also a live show that I launched in 2022 with Cat Mama World, the Ria Boss Experience, where I formally introduced my kittens, my fans, to all of my personalities and welcomed them officially to what Cat Mama World is. And if I have to say anything to like creatives who are trying to think of a brand, don't go very far. You have to just be yourself. You know, I literally am cat lady crazy. I've got cat tattoos everywhere. Like there's one here,
Love
there's
that.
one here. I'm going, wait, hold on, let's see if I can you see that. There's this one, his name is Bernard. I've
But
got
now,
a meow over here. I mean, they're everywhere. And so this isn't like something that I'm putting on, you know what I mean? And I think it's hard when you're thinking of what to do for your brand when it's not something that is natural to you, because keeping it up will be very difficult. And, you know, in this day and age of like multiple comms and always having to post, and it can be difficult if it's something that you feel is foreign to you. I think that because I'm naturally very into cats and it's just part of me, it made a lot of sense. And it also doesn't take a lot of effort. So I think that that's sort of how I stumbled into it. And now I think I'm my happiest creative self, because now all my artistic personalities, whether it's Maria, she's a visual artist and she paints, and I now do, you know, like art exhibitions, and that's part of Cat Mama World, but it's under a different personality. And then there's Hajia Kitty, who's kind of like a homicidal maniac. We don't like to let her out of the house very much. And then there's like you know, there's Ria Boss, who's the musician and sort of like glamorous maternal figure, you know. And then there's Cat Mama, who's a feline goddess, so she turns into a cat when the you know, the moon comes out. So it's all these different, you know, parts of me that I've just given room to have fun. And so if you're a creative thinking about your brand, I say think about what comes natural to you. Do you like nails? Do you like getting your nails done? Like, are you super into visual art? Like, what are the things that make you happy? What are the things that are natural to you? And I think follow that, you know, follow that.
be yourself.
Be yourself. And that's
Yeah.
difficult, right? Because I think that that is difficult. Like growing up, I remember that I had a lot of insecurities and thinking about like, who am I? Like, and it's a hard question. You know, I think we're always discovering who we are as life continues. You know, you might be a different you tomorrow, but I think being honest with yourself about who you are is the first step. I do this workshop. It's called Casting Spells. It's a songwriting workshop. And one of the questions we always ask our participants is, do you know who you are? And there's always like a bit of silence, right? Because everyone's like, I don't know, I'm having like existential crisis today. I'm not sure. But, or I have a little bit of imposter syndrome. But the question, do you know who you are, isn't to scare at people, but it's to get them thinking about themselves apart from the world they exist in. Who are you by yourself in your solitude? Who are you? It's important, because once you have these conversations with yourself and you're like, okay, you start to realize that you trust your inner voice a lot more, your intuition a lot more, and you start realizing the things that you generally naturally might gravitate towards. And so knowing who you are is an everyday job, but it's so important to have honest conversations with yourself such that you can live more honestly and authentically in your art, in your relationships. But knowing who you are is really important, I think.
I was going to ask you a question, but I feel like you've kind of answered it. But I'm going to ask it anyway. It's just in case there is anything that you can add to this. But you
Yeah.
talk quite a bit, Ria. So you've already mentioned there's different personalities, you have different missions. They all kind of, you know,
Yeah.
connect. But how do you
Yeah.
stay up to date with everything? Because the creative industry is always changing. What do you do to
Yep.
stay informed? And because it seems to me that every time you get an idea, you just mentioned about the songwriting space, you kind of act on it. How do you keep up with
Yeah.
all these different trends?
hmm Um, so actually, one of the things is like, as much as I do many things now, all of these have been like little seeds that have now become, let's say, like full flowers, full bloom. But how do we keep on top of it is, I think, because of how community driven I am, I also am exposed to a lot of different types of people, whether they're a lot older than me or they're like Gen Alpha, Gen Z. Like I teach vocal training and songwriting every Saturday. And my student right now is my niece, Ari, and she's 11 years old. And 2 weeks ago, she wrote a song in one of our sessions that is probably one of the best songs ever I've
Wow.
ever like read. Yeah, and in that moment I learned something from her, because she wrote this song called Colorful Depression, right? About this girl called Color who wears all these colors, but somehow she's still so sad. Um, and I was talking to my niece about this, and she was letting me in to the fact that, she feels as though a lot of people, they might be showing you a version of themselves that isn't really who they are deep down. And I'm getting this from like an 11-year-old, right? And so I think I
And
say this to say
that's
that
crazy.
because I placed it was nuts. I was looking at her like, do you want to be my therapist? Anyway, like, but I say this to say that I surround myself with a lot of different types of minds. I surround myself with a lot of people that think differently than me. I think that's really important as well. I don't surround myself with individuals that are always going to agree with me, that we have healthy debate and they can teach me more about myself. I'm also constantly learning. Like, I'm a student. Like, I always tell people whenever we have workshops, or any of my students, that I am not an expert. I am still learning. I always say this to friends: tomorrow is new for all of us. Like, we're all about to experience tomorrow new. And so with that, we always stand something to learn. And so how I stay up to date is that I try to keep good people around me of different backgrounds, of varying ages, of varying skill sets. I learn from them, but I also still every day learn. I'm also like a pop culture queen. So I'm constantly like, what's new? What's new? What's new on the charts? What are people writing like nowadays? Like, cause mind you, I'm 34. And so like, I've been like doing this for like a little while, but, trends change all the time, especially with regards to music. Think about when I, let's say, first put out my first song to now that TikTok exists, things are very different. And the way in which people engage with art is also very different. And so I think if you don't allow yourself to also learn and surround yourself with those that might even understand these structures better than you might be frozen in a little bit of amber somewhere. You might be stuck. And so I think it's important for us to just, like I said, surround yourself with people of different minds and skill sets.
I am so, honestly, I've said it all before, but I'm so happy that I'm speaking with you because I love your perspective on things. And it's not to say anyone else's perspective is wrong, but I love this idea that actually you're very community based. Like, keep surrounding yourself with the right people. Because I've asked this question before and I've had like different breakdowns where it's like, you need to check TikTok for this, you need to check Instagram for this, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's one strategy, but I love, like, I really believe you when you say community is is what you're focusing on, Ria. It's such a wonderful perspective.
Thank you.
Looking ahead, then, I don't know what you're allowed to reveal or what you want to reveal. Are there any exciting projects that we should keep an eye out for? Whether it's Cat Mama, Ria Boss, any capacity.
So this year I launched a performance, like a live event series called Ria Boss Presents. It's sort of like after, because I also do the open mic stuff that I curate every month, but then I've got the Ria Boss Presents, and we hosted Lady Donley and the Lagos Panic from Nigeria. This platform is something that is really dear to my heart because it means that I'm able to bring a lot of other musicians to Ghana to perform. And so an exciting thing that I can only hint at is that Ria Boss Presents might be having one of the biggest headliners ever. But I can't say who it is, but they're British.
No,
I can
you
say that.
can't do that. Sorry, no.
Yeah,
You can't just do
I can
that.
say that. I can say they're British. I can say they're British, and it most likely would be towards the end of the year. But Ria Boss Presents is going to be doing bits. Also, I can give you something. I can tell you that I've just developed the new Cat Mama World live event, the live show. It's called Cat Mama World Rise of the Four, and you get to see
Congratulations.
where the four personalities have been since their last performance. And so when I did Cat Mama World in 2022, we were introduced to them. After that, I did Cat Mama World Kisses Under the Moon, where Ria Boss serenaded everyone for Valentine's Day. Following that, I did the Cat Mama World Pop Up, which was Cat Mama herself. She became a cat. She crawled like a cat. She did all the cat stuff. This particular one,
Wow.
we are going to be seeing where they are right now, and a lot has changed in their lives. We lost our father. I lost my father, and so that's something that has also sort of like colored what the script looks like. So a lot of people will be learning about that, but they're also going to learn. Do I say this? They're going to learn something new in the Ria Boss love section of things, love life section of things. So that'll be fun.
Um,
But aside
like
from
I
that, we're going to be doing Black Girls Glow again. Of course, we are, even though we have the Koshka Sound Residency, we're also a cluster of programs. We have You Are Cared For, we have the Market Studio, we have For the Culture, and right now, actually, we've got 2 days left until the applications for our residency for this year are in, and so we're going to be doing that in July, the residency program, and then the concert. And then this year I'm going to be, oh, this is an exclusive. I'll be having my first solo show as a visual artist.
Oh, congratulations, Ria. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm
Busy.
very excited, very nervous, but yeah.
Well, let's break this down just in case our listeners want to reach out to you. Let's say,
Mm-hmm.
where can they find info about you or any updates for your performance?
Yes. So theriaboss.com, that is THERIABOSS.com. You can go on there to find out pretty much everything Ria Boss related. If we have an open mic coming up, if there's any Ria Boss presents happening, also if there's anything new or I have any tour dates, etc., everything will be on theriaboss.com. But you can also follow me on X, Twitter, or Instagram. Everything is the Ria Boss, THERIABOSS, as well as TikTok. I've really been averse to TikTok, but this is the year that I get on my TikTok game. So everyone follow me on TikTok so it keeps me accountable.
And honestly, Ria, don't fight it. The weirdest things resonate. Like, I'm not joking. Sometimes I work so hard on a video and it will be like, okay. Then I'll post a 6-second video of a thought I had and it will blow. So you be
Oh,
yourself
there
on
you go.
TikTok and it's
There you
much
go.
simpler than you
I think I'm just going to do things with my cats. Honestly, if I just do
Yeah.
things with my cats, we're going to be fine. Yeah.
My line is mostly cats, dogs, animals, and then the other half is just people eating. So you're good.
Oh, I love that.
And
Oh my
then
God, I watch people eating as well.
And then if people want to reach out to find out more about Black Girls Glow or Kitty's Palace, where do they
Yes.
go?
Okay, so for Kitty Palace, we are on Instagram as well. It's kittypalace.af. For Black Girls Glow, you can go to blackgirlsglow.org and follow everything that we're doing from there. We're also on Instagram as well. So that's at Black Girls Glow as well. And Kitty Palace, send us messages. We love it. Meow at us in the DMs. We love that as well.
Beautiful. And one message, you've given me so many wonderful pieces of advice. Just one more message that you would like to leave people with who might be inspired by your story, Ria.
One message that I would want to leave. Trust your gut. Trust your gut, trust your intuition. As long as you're not hurting anybody or harming anyone, trust your gut. It is so important that you learn to trust your internal voice, because sometimes our internal voice can be so negative to us. They can be so mean to us sometimes. But I think you need to start developing stronger sense of self. And by that, I mean trust yourself. Usually what you feel is real. So trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself.
Can I be cheeky and ask you to sing that last quote?
Trust yourself. Okay. Let's think about that.
What you feel
Trust
is real.
yourself. What you feel is real. What you feel is real. What you feel is real. What you feel is real.
Yes. I didn't think you were going to be like, no, but I love that you did that. That was beautiful and such a lovely way. Honestly, Ria, you've been amazing. I could literally talk
You
to
are an
you for
amazing
hours.
host. You're such an amazing host. Oh my goodness.
You're so kind. The only reason I'm letting you go is because I know you have a sticky note sitting in front of you saying clean the fridge.
I know. Okay, I'm going to clean the fridge. I promise.
I can't wait to see what you get up to. And please do stay in touch with us. Let us know when you've got new things going on.
I will.
And what you're doing is so inspiring. I absolutely love it. Like,
Thank
I
you.
had nothing when I started in this industry, and I literally quit from a completely different industry and moved over. So the
Hmm.
fact that you're providing so much support is honestly just so inspirational, and I wish you the best with
Thank you.
everything you do.
Thank you so much. Same to you. Let's keep in touch. Let's stay in touch.
Yes, I'm gonna follow you. Don't worry, I'm gonna do that now. Take
All
care,
right, love.
Ria.